April Harris Hill, an educator here in the beautiful sunny state of Florida. As I read this beautiful book written by Angela Johnson, I found myself thinking of some thoughts I like to share with other parents. I Dream of Trains has some perfect places to pause and make sure your children are thinking more deeply about what is happening. I'll be sharing an idea for helping you extend the meaning, and at the same time, I'll model how to show feelings of compassion and empathy that we want our children to develop. If you haven't already done so, take a few moments to listen to this wonderful book on the Read USA website. When we read, whether it's a news article or a novel, we connect what we are reading with what we already know about our world. And that helps us to more fully understand what the author is trying to share. We need to model for our children how we take what is written and make connections in order to think more deeply. This is called extending the meaning. As you read a book aloud to your child, sometimes you come across a part of the story that is really special. Maybe something super funny happens, or it could be that something's very sad or even tragic happens. Either way, it may be a perfect spot to pause and make sure your child is able to follow what is happening.
Many tennis fans cheered the energy and powerful playing of two fresh faces in tennis, but sometimes the sisters were threatened, booed, and taunted by others not happy to see them competing in a nearly all-white sport. They'd heard those words years earlier when their father brought in busloads of neighborhood kids to surround the practice courts as they played. "Do your best," he told the kids, and paid each and every one to hurl the worst words their daughters might hear during their matches. Wow. Now, whenever those same words tumbled from the stands, they fell as flat as secondhand tennis balls. Words and gunshots, hatred and doubt couldn't slow the rise of the two sisters who called themselves the greatest story in tennis. So there were people who did not like for these girls to be playing tennis because it's a typically white sport. And so they weren't used to seeing such successful, great, talented Black women playing. And so unfortunately, a lot of the fans were very unkind. But their dad had helped them prepare for this because he brought in kids from the neighborhood to stand around the tennis court and to boo and say unkind things so that the girls would begin to have mental toughness and to be able to block it out. What do you think about how they were treated?
No.
It wasn't nice? Yeah? What else?
It wasn't fair.
It wasn't fair because do you think that they should be able to play the sport? Absolutely, right?
Many professionals who study how parents can help their children make sense out of sad or scary situations they see on television explain that children can most often handle the situation if the adults around them take a moment to talk about what has happened and say some compassionate or comforting words. You can do the same thing when you're reading a book with your child. So, I'm going to talk about how to do a slow reread of a part of the story that you think is important, interesting, or maybe a bit upsetting to your child. For a slow reread, you stop after reading a part of the story that could benefit from a brief conversation. While you don't want to interrupt the flow of the story, a quick back and forth discussion may help your child think more deeply about what has happened. Before or during the quick chat, slowly reread the important part. Here's the scenario. There's a page in I Dream of Trains where the reader can tell that the legendary engineer Casey Jones is about to crash his train. The illustrations make it clear that something awful is getting ready to happen. The text says, Papa says that before the wreck came, Casey sounded his whistle through the rain. He grabbed the brake and the whistle, warning everybody he was coming. Holding fast, he told Sam Webb to jump into the night. Sam Webb was the black man who worked side by side with Casey Jones, the well-known and well-liked white train engineer. The story takes place in the South during the Jim Crow era, and the fact that Casey told Sam to jump while he stayed at the controls of the train goes a long way in explaining why the black sharecroppers of that time thought Casey Jones was a special man. First of all, without turning the page to see if the train does indeed crash, you may genuinely say, "Oh no, I think something bad is going to happen. What do you think?" Then say, "I'm going to read that again real slow and think about it." By reading the part again, it gives your child time to absorb the information and think. And it models what all readers do when they come across something in print that is difficult to understand or process. Rereading a small part is very helpful for thinking more deeply. I wonder questions. Invite your child to engage with you and think about something that you find curious. Say, "I wonder why Casey told Sam to jump out into the dark night. He might get hurt jumping off that fast train." You can lead your child to see that Casey was saving Sam from certain death while he chose to stay on the train, holding on the brake to try and slow the train down. You guide your child to realize that Casey was a compassionate and caring man who thought of others even while something frightening was happening. Talking about feelings of book characters help our children develop empathy, which means to see things from another's perspective and sympathize with another's emotions.
Leave every place you visit better than you found it, and leave every person better than you found them. Eat lunch with the new kid. Hold the door for the person behind you. Do the right thing, even when no one is looking. And most of all, be you. You'll discover that the best you is the you that is all you. Not a little you and a little someone else. You are original, and that's a wonderful thing. And always remember, the world needs a boy, a smart boy, a brave boy, a kind boy. Oh boy, a boy like you.
As they try to think about what it may have been like to be in the other person's shoes at a certain moment, they learn to understand another person's feelings. Parents, this is a very, very important strategy to implement with our children, especially during this time. To extend the understanding of the characters in I Dream of Trains and, at the same time, model being empathetic. Talk about how Casey and Sam may have been feeling at that scary moment. Point to the characters' faces in the picture and say, "I wonder what Sam is feeling," or "I wonder what Casey is feeling." Notice I didn't say what they were thinking. Rather, what are they feeling? That requires a deeper understanding and helps your child connect to others whom they don't really know well. Asking thoughtful questions that guide children to think more deeply about what they read will make them a more successful student in school and a smarter consumer of written information in life. Don't we all want that? Talking about a book's characters' feelings can help our children understand others and maybe even lead them one day to take action to relieve another person's suffering. Children's books are wonderful for helping parents talk about important topics with their children and move towards making them a better citizen in our world. Isn't that awesome? Thank you for watching this Read USA Parent video about extending the story and empathy. Feel free to use these tips with any of the books from the Read Aloud videos or your own books. If you like this video, be sure to check out our other videos on the Read USA website.